So the present session is about focusing of the common bile duct. It's a very important area of concern. The proximal part of CBD, which is in the region of the porta hepatis, close to the neck of the gallbladder, is usually easy to focus. But the problem comes as we move towards the distal part, because the gas shadows from the second part of duodenum, they tend to overlap this area and sometimes it becomes difficult. Now, we have come across many reports where people write that the proximal part of the CBD is dilated and distal part cannot be seen because of the overlying gas shadows. Now, this should not be the way of reporting. The reason is, if you write such a report, then the person has to go for other investigations, because the person has to find out what is there in the distal part. Majority of the problems, whether it is a stone or any mass which is pressing on the common bile duct, they tend to occur more in the distal part compared to the proximal part. So, giving a proper report on the distal part is very important. Now, we have to start focusing from the proximal to the distal part, and on the way, if you encounter ball loose to a great extent, then little bit manipulations in the probe position can thwart the shadows. A proper patient preparation is also going to help you out when you start after giving a lot of gas reducing agents and a lot of water. The picture quality will definitely be much better. Now, let us start focusing the common bile duct from the proximal part up to the distal part, and then I'll show you how the distal part can be seen in case we are not able to get a continuity from the proximal to the distal part, because even if you miss out on some part of the CBD, but in case you are able to make out the proximal part and the distal part very clearly, I think the problem is solved to nearly complete extent. So I start with focusing from the proximal position. Now, patient is lying supine, where you can make out, and we just turn the patient into an oblique position with the right side up. The probe is kept transversely like this, and then we rotate the probe like this, and we get a section of the gallbladder neck with the portal vein and the CBD above it. Now, you can have a look at the section which will be there. Now, once this section is there, after that we just follow the proximal part of the CBD, going gradually towards the pancreas. As we are moving towards the pancreas, we are able to trace the CBD further and further, and little bit right and left tilting of the probe and subtle movements, and we just move towards the epigastric area where we can make out the distal part of CBD. Now, so many times I have told you, while following from the proximal to the distal part, we encounter gas shadows, and here we have to do little bit manipulations and try to find out a way. The more you practice, the better you will. And in case you are not able to make out the complete length, at least ensure that you see proximal and the distal part. Now, as we move toward this distal end, we see here, you can make out in the picture that the distal part of the CBD can be seen. As it is moving distally, CBD will be seen to cross the portal vein from anterior to the posterior side, and you can very well make out the crossing, and then CBD passes through the head of the pancreas before ending into the second part of duodenum. Now you should be able to see the CBD within the head of the pancreas. For this, what you can do is, get the patient like supine again, problem, and put the probe transversely here, focus a little bit rotation here and there, try to get the porto-spiny pain complex, and there you can see IVC, aorta next to it, and just above the IVC, within the lower part of the head of the pancreas, you can see a small circular dot that is of the terminal part of CBD. Now, so many times you'll find that this dot-like area is not very clear. It is so small that you may not be able to make out. Many times you just rotate the probe a little bit here and there and you can still make out, but especially when it is dilated, bigger, it is much more easier to make out. A normal one is more difficult because of its smaller size. Anyway, the thing is, as you can see in the pictures, that so many times the distal part of the CBD within the head of the pancreas is not very conspicuous. It is quite small, and newcomers may face problem in identifying this part. So what is the way out? For this, what you can do is to again rotate the probe from transverse to the longitudinal section, and like this I am rotating, and after rotating you get the head of the pancreas in long axis, longitudinal section, which is triangular in shape, and just posterior to that is the CBD. Now again I go back and I show you, I am rotating it this way, the right side is going up, I go this way, I get the triangular area of the head of the pancreas, and then little bit right and left rotation like this to get the fine focusing. Now if you see the probe movement, I can show you here that I am moving it like this, but so much of movement is not required. If you move this much very fast, the area of interest will go away. So, but in order to show you that the movement has to be this way, I am just exaggerating it a little bit. But otherwise, the movement has to be so subtle that most of the times only the person doing it can make out that the movement is there. So a little bit right and left, maybe a little bit rotation also, and here you can get CBD in full length, and for a considerable more duration, and as a result you will be able to spot the CBD much more easily compared to a transverse section where you just see like you put the probe here in the transverse section of the pancreas, you see it as a circular dot. Here when you get a longitudinal section, you see a long length, so it is much more easier to identify the CBD.
So here you can make out the gallbladder, and this is the proximal part of the CBD. Here beneath it you can make out the portal vein, and IVC is here. The probe position is of course oblique longitudinally in the right hypochondrium. The line diagram is here for you. You can see CBD, portal vein, and here of course you can see IVC as well, and this is the gallbladder. This is the neck of the gallbladder. Now once you have been able to make out this, your aim should be to try and trace this CBD right up to its ending. So from here we trace, and how the CBD is going to go, it is going to go like this and down, and the portal vein is right now posterior, and gradually you will find CBD is going posterior to the portal vein. Now let us see the slide 2, and in this you can make out the that here it is going posterior, CBD is going posterior, and this is the portal vein, and this is the IVC, and in the line diagram you can make out that this is the CBD here. In the beginning it was proximal to or I say anterior to the portal vein, and as it is going towards the distal part, it is coming down, and here it crosses the portal vein from anterior to the posterior side, and in the distal part you can make out that CBD will be posterior to the portal vein. Now let us see further. This is the terminal end of CBD, close to its joining the second part of abdominal, which is somewhere here. And the line diagram you can make out CBD is here, and portal vein has gone anterior to it, and CBD is posterior to it. This is the IVC, this is the aorta. Here you can make out that aorta is here, IVC is here, and this small area within the head, lower part of the head of the pancreas is the CBD. Portal vein is here and splenic vein is here. So this is a portosplenic vein complex. Stomach is above this. This is the neck of the pancreas, head of the pancreas, body, and tail will be somewhere here. Now see this picture. This is the proximal part of CBD, and this is the portal vein, and here is a ball area which is producing shadows. So this is one of the problems which comes most of the times, that the shadows from the ball loop, they tend to overlap the mid part and the distal part of CBD. So here you can make out sometimes such a problem comes, and little bit manipulations may help you to trace the CBD till the end in spite of these shadows, but sometimes it may be difficult. And when it is difficult, as I told you previously also, that find out the proximal part and find out the distal part. Both of them, they appear normal. Usually CBD is normal. Now here you can see the distal part at the level of pancreas. You can see this pancreas, the portosplenic vein, and here you can see a small round area in the lower part of the head of the pancreas. This is a CBD. Now sometimes it may be a little bit tubular depending upon probe position, because a little bit rotation may make the circular as a tubular area. And here you can see the CBD. Here is the IVC, and this is the portosplenic vein complex. Now again, as I told you previously, that the distal part of CBD is the one which is a little bit more difficult to see, and we try seeing the distal part as you are seeing in this picture by putting the probe transversely in the epigastric area, a little bit rotation of the probe, little bit tilting of the probe up and down or right and left along with some rotation. Now tilting is up and down, right and left, and rotation is either clockwise or anti-clockwise. So little bit manipulations in the form of slight tilting, slight rotation will get to the CBD better. But in case you are not able to make out the CBD clearly in short axis, as in this picture, then as I told you, the way out is getting CBD distal part in long axis. For that, again, you have to move the probe from transverse position to a longitudinal oblique position. So once you move the probe from transverse to longitudinal and oblique position, as I told you, little bit right and left tilting, and maybe very little rotation will get you the CBD in full length. And you can see just above the CBD is head of the pancreas, which is appearing triangular right now, because right now this head is seen in longitudinal section. You can see the portal vein here, and CBD can be seen going down alongside the head of the pancreas. This is a line diagram where you can again make out that pancreas is there and CBD is there just posterior to it. In case by chance you happen to get portal vein next to it, then the problem is solved very easily by putting color and saying flow in the portal vein, unlike CBD. So the thing is, the distal part and the proximal part both have to be focused, even if you are not able to make out the complete length from the proximal to the distal part. And the other thing is that in order to focus the distal part, try first in short axis at the head of the pancreas and then rotate the probe longitudinally and get the CBD in long axis, because in long axis you see for a considerable longer area, and you can pick up much more easily along the longitudinal section of the head of the pancreas. Here you can see, and the only thing you have to remember that move the probe from transverse to an oblique longitudinal position, and along with rotation, little bit right and left tilting, and you'll be able to get this distal part of CBD. Going on to the live demonstration, you can see here, this is the proximal part of CBD, this is the portal vein, and this is how the CBD is going down. Just above the portal vein it is here, and it will be going down. Here you can see it is going down, and again see now it's going down, and you can see triangular area of the head of the pancreas in longitudinal section, and this is how the distal part of CBD can be seen, and you can trace the distal part for a longer distance till it empties into the second part of duodenum somewhere here. Of course the gas shadows will come over it, but here you can see nice CBD can be seen, the distal part of CBD. This is the portal vein, this is the IVC which is there beneath it here. So we can trace in this particular case from proximal right up to the distal part, and we can see that the CBD is absolutely normal. Here again you can make out nice CBD, portal vein, IVC. These are the gas shadows which are coming, but still we are able to avoid over the area of interest, and we can very clearly make out CBD in this particular case, in spite of the fact that it is not big in size. It is a normal CBD, and large CBD will always be much more easier to make out. In this clip, you can make out the distal part of CBD in short axis at the level of the head of the pancreas, and you can make out that right now it is not exactly circular, but a little bit. Now here you can see nearly circular, you can see nearly circular CBD here, and you can see the IVC beneath it, and this is the portal vein, portosplenic vein complex, CBD here. Now again you can see the distal here you can make out the head of the pancreas out here, the portosplenic vein complex, superior mesenteric artery, aorta with renal artery, and the IVC here. And again we'll try to locate the CBD within the head of the pancreas. Now here you can make out, we are seeing the distal part and the distal part of the pancreas, the posterior part, and we are not able to make out the CBD very clearly. This happens sometimes when we are not able to make out, and in that case again the solution is that see CBD in longitudinal section. Again I go to this picture where you can make out that Again, here by rotating the probe and getting a longitudinal section, we can see the CBD just posterior to the head of pancreas. Now this is a portal vein which has come in the view, much bigger. And again here you can see the CBD from the proximal to the distal part here. This is the distal part of CBD, which you can see at the level of the head of the pancreas in longitudinal section. So this was a briefing about the CBD along with practical demonstration about focusing. We showed you some still pictures as well as videos, and once you combine all these, I think the focusing should be very easy for you. Thank you.